Okay, hello everyone. My name is Joanne Brennan and I'm the CEO of the EAPC, and I'm joined here today by Phil Larkin, who is the co-chair of our scientific committee for our next conference, which is going to be in Prague in May 2026. He's also one of our past presidents. I'm delighted he's here with me because the thing we're going to talk about in this short video is presenting at an EAPC Congress. And Phil, I know that you've done that many, many times. So can you tell us what that means to actually get up and stand and talk about your work at our Congress?
Well, thanks for inviting me, and hello everyone. I suppose in a way, the EAPC Congress is probably, not wishing to worry anyone, probably the largest international palliative care conference that exists in many ways. We have people from all over the world that come. It's a world congress. It's been going for over 30 years. And it's a chance for people to come together and network. And a lot of the content focuses on research and practice and policy. It's a very broad program, which is very multi-professional. And your abstract has been chosen as a plenary or an oral presentation. And that's something amazing because, to be able to stand up in front of the people that are involved in palliative care and share the work that you've done means that your colleagues, your peers have seen that your work is really important and you've got a message to say. So my first thing to say is congratulations, because you've gone through a rigorous process to get here. It's not easy. You've been reviewed independently. We've had meetings about this and we've said you've got something to say. So I think we want to hear you and we want to give you that opportunity. First time I did it was really scary, purely because I was thinking, am I really good enough to do this? Have I really got the data? Is this what I want to talk about? But actually, once you get there, you'll find that the atmosphere is very collegial. People want you to win. They want you to do this. They want you to be able to share the work. And they'll be very open to listen to you, to talk with you. So come with the spirit of, I've got a story to tell, and I want you to be able to hear that story the best way I can do it.
Yeah, that's great. And you've got an active audience who are really, really keen to engage and
Absolutely.
listen.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
we know at EAPC Congress, many people who come to our Congress, it's the first time in attendance, and some of those will be speaking as an oral abstract speaker. So have you some tips, Phil, that we can share now that can help people be a little bit more prepared and feel a bit more comfortable about coming and
Sure.
doing this?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when I'll give some ideas of what people could think about, and then I think probably they'd also want to have some practical information, and I'll come
Yeah,
back to you on that, Joanne. Well, I suppose the first thing is preparing the presentation. Remember that you have a timed session. There'll be a length of time in which you can present. And one of the greatest things that people often do is they have too many slides for the time that they've got. So what I usually say is if you've got 10 minutes to present, look at something between 6 to 7 slides. And the reason for that is we want to hear you. We don't need you to read the slides. We can read them ourselves. But also keep the information as short as possible, bullet points. Obviously, if you're showing graphs and things, make sure they're clear. But if you're using text, make sure it's big enough to read and not too much of it. The other thing that's really important, in my view, is to not use too many colours because that can distract the person trying to read them. So keep it simple. Think that I'm going to talk to you about something, and these are the key points that you need to remember. The other thing is, I know that some people like to use prompt cards, which can be helpful. And this is really good if English isn't your first language. You might feel comfortable just to have some cards that you can look at. A tip that I can give you is rather than have them in your hand and trying to go from one to the other, because I can guarantee you one of those cards will not be in the same order as what's on the screen. Um, Put them together, stick them together, 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, with some sellotape at the back so that they fold, and then lie them out next to you on front, because then you can just look at them while you're talking and you're not dealing with your hands. A very practical thing that I say to everybody, whether they're presenting in a conference or not, is this is not the time to wear the new outfit and the new shoes, because you will be very conscious of that. Also, if you like chunky bracelets and lots of chains and necklaces, just be conscious that we often do things with those, like clack them and bang them, and it can be distracting for you in the audience. The other thing I would say is, if you haven't worked, so you have two options. You may be using a microphone at a podium, so you're standing still in front of the podium, or you may have a handheld microphone in some cases. The important thing is to remember to keep the microphone as close to your mouth as possible so that we can hear you. And one of the things that often happens when you're standing at a podium is you turn around to look at the screen for something, and immediately we don't hear you anymore. So be conscious of that. Keep remembering that you need to speak. Speak slowly. One of the things I often do is it's a trick. It's called the slow eye blinking. And so that means between each slide, I just take a moment just to blink my eyes. Nobody notices, you're fine. But it just gives you a sense, you can center yourself a little bit just to make sure, okay, now I know what's coming. That's, I'm able to do that. It helps you focus. If you're working from a laptop, you may be in some of the smaller rooms and there may be a laptop. Again, try to look at the audience. And a really good tip is, just before you begin speaking, just look at the audience and smile. Okay? After that, you don't need to look at them at all. If you're speaking to a very big group, if there's a large audience in front of you, one of the tips is to look at the first 20 people in the first 2 rows and forget the rest of them, and speak to that 20 people at the front, because the rest of them, it's the same presentation, but you're not thinking, I've got 2,000 people out there listening to what I'm saying. You're focusing on those 20 people, and that'll just help you to keep it together. And the other thing I think, which is probably really important in terms of your confidence, is make sure that you've got a good take-home message at the end. So if perhaps not everything goes the way you'd like it to in the way you present it, if your last slide is what your key take-home message is, that could be really, that really seals it for you. And then you know that the people have understood what you were talking about. So they're just a few things that I've learned over the years that help me to know how to present.
Really good, really good. Some nice ideas there. I new to me as well. So thank you, Phil.
Well, they're just tips and tricks.
Yeah, and you mentioned the practical stuff as well. So maybe I can come in with a little bit of that. So our oral abstract sessions are 90 minutes in duration, and we generally have 6 speakers in each session, and each presenter is allowed a time slot of 15 minutes. So there's 7 minutes to present, and then there's 8 minutes for question and answer. And what we would always suggest is that speakers know the time that session is starting and the room that it's being held in, and know that in advance, so you can be confident you can be in that room 10 minutes before the start of the session. We have quite long break times in the Congress, 45 minutes for morning breaks and 90 minutes for lunch. So you've plenty of time to get to your room ahead of the session. When in each of the sessions there are the presenters, and there will be 2 chairpersons, and the role of the chairpersons is to introduce the presenters and then to moderate the question and answers session after each person has spoken. So really nice thing to turn up to the room early and to find the chairperson so you can connect with them before the session starts, and then they know who you are. Typically in our session rooms, I'm just going to share a photo because I have a picture from our last Congress. So this is typically how we would set up the session room in the rooms where we have the oral abstract sessions. So we have a table at the front where we would have the chairpersons, the podium, the screen in the background, and the speakers generally come and sit on the front row until they're invited to stand up and present their work. It happens like magic that the slides will appear when you're ready to speak, because we will load all of that in the background. But the key thing for you to know is that you need to bring your slides to our media room before your session starts. And don't worry about retaining all of this information. We will send all of this to you in our guidance document. But what we say is, at least 3 hours before your session, go to the media room and upload your slides. And then when you stand up in that room, they're going to be there ready for you. That's the plan. Sometimes things do go a little bit wrong though, don't they, Phil? And it's usually it's the technical stuff that usually fails.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say if something doesn't go right, 99% of the time it's our fault in the terms of the organization. It's either that something's happened with the technical side in the room, or perhaps the microphone isn't working, or there'll be some other, or the chair is late, or the chair has missed something. So I think if something goes wrong, don't panic. We've always got the time to work through those things. You don't need to worry. You just need to concentrate on giving your talk. Everybody else manages in the background that. I do think what's really important, just two, I suppose, two small points from my experience, is keep a close eye to the chairs, because if you are running close to the time you've got to speak, they'll indicate that for you. And they do it differently. Some have a little sign that says you've got 5 minutes, or some will just raise a finger just to let you know. And usually you agree that with the chairs at the beginning before you start speaking. The other thing to bear in mind is that, and I'm just following on from what Joanne said, is that you go to the media room and you upload your presentation. You can't normally alter your presentation once
No,
it's
that's
been
right.
uploaded, and you can't change the presentation in the room. So please be sure that the presentation that you upload is the presentation you give, because once that's done, it's done, and that's what will show on the screen. So just to be a little bit aware of that. And then I suppose the other thing, as just some feedback that I got, that sometimes speakers don't remember, is that people will come and go in your session, because people will have a plan of what they want to go and see. So they might just be coming to see you and then they leave. And some people find that, oh, is it me? Have I said something wrong? It's not you. It's that some people are very committed to their itinerary and they want to go and see it. But something I think is really important at the end is make sure that you've got some contact details, a card or something, hang around in case anybody has any additional questions, because sometimes you may only have time for one question actually in the session. And yeah, just hang around, make sure, just in case there's any other bits. And most importantly, if there is another aspect of your project that's being presented at the EAPC Congress, say as a poster, flag it. Let people know and tell them, or you could meet them there. So use this as a networking opportunity. I think that's a really good message for the meeting. Yeah.
It always strikes me how busy the rooms are at the end of the session, how people who were in the audience will get up and go and speak to the speakers and ask those questions that they didn't have time for. So it's a great opportunity to make new connections and talk more about your work, and people are obviously interested in that. So okay, so we've done the presentation, our slot is finished. What then?
So, well, the first thing is you should congratulate yourself. You've got through it. That's really important. I think you should. I mean, certainly what's important is that if things haven't gone quite the way you'd hoped, don't be overcritical. Don't dissect this. Okay. You've got your message across. People have enjoyed it. You've made your connections. Bear in mind, you may have to go to another room. So you also have to find your way around that. So just plan that into it. But just be aware that, we're all there as a community to support each other in this. So, enjoy the moment. Be yourself. That's the only thing I can say, which is really important. Be yourself. Use whatever you need to do that. One thing I think is really quite important is that, when you get up to do your presentation, just think that you've got a little circle of space around you. So you don't feel confined or claustrophobic in this, because some of the rooms are smaller than others, and some rooms, you may have quite a lot of people in a room and it might be feeling a little bit constricted. Just make sure you've got a bit of space around you and you're all set up. Be yourself, be calm, and don't panic. Just don't panic. And at the end, celebrate the fact that this was a really good moment. And also come back to remember that you've been chosen out of a huge number of abstracts. So, you've got, that's no pressure. It's just saying that we know that you've got a message to say, and that's important.
Yeah. And they've done really, really well. Yeah.
And they've done really well.
I'll take that. Yeah. Okay. So I think what we've got some nice tips that you've shared. We've got the practical information, which will also be on our website, and we will also be making sure that we send this out to all of the oral abstract presenters. we're really looking forward to seeing everybody in Prague. Early bird registration will finish at the end of February, but abstract authors have a deadline which they need to register by, so make sure to do that. Any last words from you, Phil, before we wrap up?
Well, I mean, as a co-chair of the Congress, I'm just so delighted that so many people will come and will see the abstracts. Do remember the deadlines that Joanne has given, particularly for registration. And if you haven't already indicated the RSVP, which was sent out, please do so now. I think January 20th is in fact the last deadline, which is next week. But it's really important because we do need to get a sense of who is going to come so that we can do some logistical planning. But really looking forward to seeing you in the most amazing city of Prague. It's absolutely stunning, and you're going to love the conference centre.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, we'll look forward to seeing everyone there. Thanks very much, Phil.
Take care. Take care,
Thank you.
Joanne.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.